Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Sentry. Today, we're diving deep into something fans have been waiting almost 2 decades for. Constantine 2, starring Keanu Reeves. Yeah, it's real, it's happening, sort of. But after new comments from DC Studios co-head James Gunn, the situation around this long-awaited sequel just got even more mysterious. So let's break it all down. What Gunn actually said, what Keanu's been hinting at behind the scenes, and why this movie's journey has been one of the strangest in DC's modern history. Let's rewind for a second. Back in 2005, Francis Lawrence brought us Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves as the chain-smoking, demon-hunting exorcist from DC's Hellblazer comics. It was dark, weird, and honestly way ahead of its time. Even though the movie didn't blow up the box office, it built a massive cult following over the years. Fans loved Reeves' grounded, cynical version of Constantine, not quite the comic-accurate blonde Brit, but one with the same tortured soul and dry wit that made him unforgettable. So naturally, fans have been asking for a sequel ever since. For years, the idea of Constantine 2 floated around Hollywood like a ghost. Rumored scripts, false starts, conflicting reports. Every few years, someone would tease that it might happen, only for it to vanish again. Then, out of nowhere, in 2022, Warner Bros. Announced that Constantine 2 was finally in development. Francis Lawrence was set to return as director, Akiva Goldsman was writing the script, and Keanu Reeves was confirmed to reprise his role. It was the comeback fans had been praying for. But there was one big twist in all this. Shortly after that announcement, Warner Bros. Discovery restructured DC entirely, appointing James Gunn and Peter Safran as co-heads of the newly formed DC Studios. Their goal was to build a connected and unified universe under the new banner, Gods and Monsters. That raised some serious questions. Would Constantine 2 fit into this new DCU vision, or would it end up like other projects, quietly shelved, stuck in limbo while the studio focused on building a clean slate? For a while, things were really quiet. Fans started to assume the worst. Then in 2023, Warner Bros. Discovery confirmed the movie was still in development. But beyond that, there was radio silence. Until now. Recently, James Gunn appeared on the Boba Talks YouTube channel and was asked directly about Constantine 2. And yeah, he actually addressed it. Gunn said, "I've discussed it on and off. I discussed it with Keanu. So yeah, that's a great group of guys. I like all those people a lot. I think they're talented, but I have not read any script yet." So that's a pretty big statement. So on one hand, Gunn confirms that yes, he's talked to Keanu about the film. That means Constantine 2 is on the radar at DC Studios. But on the other hand, the guy running the studio says he hasn't even read a script yet. That's where things get interesting. Because Keanu on his end has been sounding way more optimistic. In early October, while promoting his new movie Good Fortune, Keanu was asked by Fandango if there were any updates on Constantine 2. His response was, "Yeah, fingers crossed. Another draft of the script came in. We're waiting. We're going to take it to the studio. Hopefully they like it too." So according to Keanu, there is a new script. They're taking it to the studio, and he sounds genuinely hopeful. Now, this isn't the first time he's opened up about the movie's developments either. Back in February 2025, Keanu told Inverse that he and the Constantine 2 team had finally put a story together and pitched it to DC Studios, and DC said, "Okay." In his words, "We've been trying to make this film for a decade, and we just recently put a story together and pitched it to DC Studios, and they said, okay, so we're going to try and write a script." So from his perspective, progress is being made, even if slowly. But that doesn't quite match Gunn's "I haven't read a script yet" comment, does it? Let's piece this together. We know that in 2022, Warner Bros. Greenlit Constantine 2. We know Akiva Goldsman and Francis Lawrence are back, both confirmed. We know Keanu's still attached, still passionate, and still publicly talking about it. Producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura even revealed in late 2024 that he'd received a screenplay for the movie. Then Peter Stormare, who played Lucifer in the original film, claimed that Keanu wasn't happy with some of the earlier versions of the script. Now, it's entirely possible those were older drafts, the ones before the team got the recent green light to start over and repitch the story. So in reality, there might be a newer version that Gunn just hasn't seen yet. That would make sense. DC Studios is juggling a ton of projects under the new DCU slate, and Constantine 2 is technically outside that continuity. For now. Still, Gunn's comment adds a layer of uncertainty, because if the studio head hasn't read the script, that could mean it's still in early writing stages, not ready for official approval yet. And honestly, that fits the pattern. Constantine 2 has been in development for nearly 2 decades. It's basically the definition of Hollywood purgatory. It's easy to forget just how tricky this project is. First off, the original Constantine doesn't really fit into the tone of the modern DCU. It's grim, spiritual, horror-driven, more like The Exorcist meets Blade Runner than Shazam or Peacemaker. So Gunn and Safran have to decide whether they want the sequel to stand outside the DCU as a legacy project like Joker and the Batman, or try to fold it into their new shared universe somehow. And either option has complications. If it's standalone, they have to justify the cost for a film that doesn't build the wider brand. If it's connected, they have to figure out how to reconcile Reeves' version of Constantine with whatever supernatural characters might exist in the new DCU, like Swamp Thing or Zatanna. And let's be honest, that's a delicate balance. Fans, on the other hand, don't care about studio politics. They just want Keanu Reeves back as John Constantine. His version of the character has become iconic in its own right. Sure, it's not 100% comic accurate. He's not British, doesn't have the blonde hair, and the tone's more Hollywood noir than gritty punk magic. But there's something magnetic about it. Keanu's Constantine is weary, cynical, but quietly heroic. A man fighting against literal hell even when he knows he's doomed. That kind of dark anti-hero energy fits perfectly with today's audience. In a world filled with clean-cut superheroes, a return to something more tragic and mysterious could actually refresh DC's lineup. And if they lean into that tone, with Francis Lawrence returning behind the camera, it could be the perfect mix of horror, theology, and action fans have been craving. But again, all of this hinges on one thing: getting that script right. If there's one reassuring sign, it's that Keanu Reeves isn't giving up. The guy's been fighting to make Constantine 2 for over 10 years, literally pitching and repitching it to studios. And unlike many actors, he's not doing it just for nostalgia. You can tell he loves this character. Even Francis Lawrence has said in interviews that he's been pushing for the sequel ever since finishing the first one. It's a passion project for both of them. So while the corporate side of DC might be moving slowly, the creative team's persistence might be what eventually gets this movie made. Because let's face it, when Keanu wants something made, he usually finds a way. Now, here's the fun part: speculation. Could Constantine 2 secretly be setting up something bigger? James Gunn's new DC universe has already teased darker, supernatural corners of the DC mythos. There's Swamp Thing, the Authority, and whispers of a Justice League Dark project somewhere down the line. And if you know the comics, John Constantine plays a huge role in that world. He's basically the anchor of the entire magical side of DC. So it's not crazy to think Gunn might want Keanu's Constantine, or some version of him, to show up eventually. Maybe Constantine 2 serves as a soft reboot, a bridge between the old DC films and the new. Or maybe it's just a one-off, a love letter to fans who've been waiting 20 years. Either way, it's fascinating to watch this unfold. So where does Constantine 2 actually stand right now? Well, here's the honest truth. It's happening, just not fast. Keanu Reeves and Francis Lawrence are working on it. Akiva Goldsman's writing the script. A new draft exists, but Gunn hasn't seen it yet, and DC Studios hasn't officially greenlit production. That means it's in development, not in motion. Still, considering how far it's come, from dead rumor to active discussion between Keanu and DC Studios, that's progress. And maybe that's what makes this story so fitting. Constantine 2 has always been a bit like its main character, damned but still fighting, stubbornly refusing to die. So yeah, the week continues, but if the team can finally get the tone, story, and vision aligned, this could be one of the most exciting returns in modern comic book cinema. Because when Keanu lights that cigarette, flips that collar, and mutters, "Welcome to hell," you just know it's gonna be worth it. What do you think, everyone? Do you want Constantine 2 to connect to James Gunn's DC universe, or should it stand alone as a darker supernatural story? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update when this film finally crawls out of development hell. Until next time, stay strong.